other day. One was interesting with the symbols and why people do things, and it's like, that's what coming out of a delusion and coming out of Egypt is. Been repeating, I guess. You start noticing things, you start showing, you just start perceiving the spirit, the house spirits, why things are done. Not having a clue, why do people do that? And why is it in Hollywood? Why is it in the movies? Why is it in Christianity? These people are in utter destruction. It has nothing to do with the Messiah. And everything to do with Jesus, the anti-Messiah spirit, and the God of this world, with its many symbols breaking something. That's the Father's inverting it, breaking something, and that's why we see the pyramids, triangles, crosses, and these things always have been. Nothing is new under the sun, truly. No spiritual breaking of his law, whether spiritual or literal, is new under the sun. It's just that we don't see Babylon for what the Father says it is when we're blind. We start seeing Babylon everywhere. We start seeing these are the devil's people. It's his house, his world, it's his cosmos, it's his kingdoms. God of this world, not the kingdom of heaven set apart above, seeking that which is and is to come, but not seeking this world. He's set apart from this world, so hiding in the secret place, breaking through the heavens in spirit with the innumerous amount of heavenly messengers, like we read, dwelling in the heavenly places, like we read, because these people are hidden in Messiah in the heavenly places above. That's set apart from this world right now, a veil, because it cannot be that evil is in his presence, and it cannot be that he accepts it. And so then it's set apart, and he judges evil and doesn't allow it to exist in reality. It's been such a, clarity, understanding, important that it's been given me to see it, and hopefully others too. Yes, whatever someone's lacking, like we read, he's able to supply, knowing we need it. We can ask. Yes, we can ask. Need to ask. Seek his truth, his will. Rebellion is doing things on our own. I'm seeing that clearly, and it's really, really 180 from where we started. Here's an example of rebellion and sin. Let's just give some natural example. In the car here, and forgetting something maybe. I don't know what, anything. And then you start saying to yourself, I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore. I'm going to remember. Period. I'm not going to forget. I'm going to check it every single time, and I'm not going to forget. And you're saying this out of like little anger, right? Spite. That's doing it on their own way. So what does he do with his people? Makes you forget because he said you're going to do that. Because it's said with a heart saying it's going to do it its own way, itself, its own power. That's not following his voice. It's not hearing his voice and obeying. Long ways to go. A long ways to go. Impossible way to go from still being blind and not knowing the Father. People don't know what this means to follow his voice, and I'm not even, it's just more and more every day. Knowing something, starting to see what rebellion is, doing whatever you want yourself, free will, a way of life that the world lives, its own. It's a deception, it's a delusion. God of this world, prideful, doing what he wants himself. It's not actually allowed. He gives a lie to believe, or a delusion to believe, so that someone believes their own lie. And then the reality, because of his judgment, is that want was given to them as a delusion for a punishment. This is fear. This is powerful. This is what's going on. This is what he's showing me. He does not allow anyone to do whatever they want themselves. It doesn't exist. So then our reality starts becoming doing what he says for real, knowing we can't do it our way. But, bit by bit, more and more in this direction, the perfect way. All his will constantly for everything. It's a joke. That's what they run from. That's what the definition of all sin, and it is rebellion. Free will in your own way. That is the rebellion. The, with a capital T, that is the rebellion. But I could say something else is the rebellion, and it's true, because it's all connected. But to sum it up is very short. It's doing things your own way, which doesn't exist. And this is how it exists, by his judgments. What his judgments? There's no reality to it. There is no spiritual reality to it. No one has ever done what they want themselves. People believe this. But they'll look at what they've done, carnal man, and they, you must be an idiot, you must be blind. I do what I want all the time. Oh, really? They don't know that it's not even their own thoughts. They don't know that delusions are being sent to them so that it's not what they want to do. They get stuck in what the Father gives them. And then when it's a delusion given, it's not what they want. If someone's in a prison, which is rebellion, which is to be in a delusion, in a prison, captive, slave to sin, they're not doing what they want. They're a literal slave to sin and working for it, as everyone starts off doing, sold under sin. There's no reality to it. It gives a strong delusion to anyone who doesn't love truth, so that they believe a lie. They believe that they do whatever they want. That is the grand lie. Delusion. Believing that. It's an utter trap. It's an utter, monster, huge trap. Traps everyone. So blind. It's stuck in what it's doing. It's not doing what it wants. It's giving thoughts, temptations through the enemy, handcrafted delusions to believe a lie. And when that happens, it's in a delusion. They didn't choose to be in a delusion, but we're talking about reality. Someone that doesn't know the Father, they're not going to agree to this. I'm only talking about what he's shown me, reality. Someone's in an actual delusion. They didn't choose that delusion, but they're in it. They're not going to acknowledge it or ever. That's what they're running from. That is the rebellion, to believe they're free, to do whatever they want, that they're not beast, with the carnal, childish beast nature. That is the rebellion. That is what people will hate. That is right there, simplified. Everyone. And if someone's searching with eyes everywhere, the Spirit is searching all things. Someone in Messiah will see this everywhere, with everyone that doesn't know him. If you say anything with truth, anything that's true, but especially something to do with not doing things our own way, that doesn't exist. They're talking about that. That is the rebellion. Watch them, what they do. Watch them twist. Instead of twisting and turning in some hell, cracking bones in the oven, the child is twisting and turning in hell, and the bones are cracking. So that's what's happening spiritually to the carnal wicked who teach that. The Father is a monster. They're in the oven right now, twisting and turning, having no clue, trapped utterly in illusion. It's for his people that when they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then he rebukes them. Yet that's what the world is not doing. They're not listening to him. They're not obeying him. They don't hear him. They don't know him. It's only for his people to start knowing this and seeing it and believing it. Not talking to nobody. The actual creator, he exists. World doesn't believe he exists. It's a mockery to them. So if they find someone with actual belief, they'll hate you and sneer. Think you're stupid for believing it. All out of trying to protect their lack of any understanding. And that they hate the Creator and don't want to have anything to do with him. That is the not obeying the Father. So the devil just tells people to wear crosses, and they do. It's just utter blinding and delusion. It's just spiritual. You can't put into words. It's too hard to put into words why that's done and what it's going on. There's no condemnation. Just speaking of what it is, what sin is, what slavery to the sin, what slavery to obeying the devil, the other father of lies is. Nobody wants to do that. They want to be free. No one telling them what to do. Once again, that is the rebellion and all sin connected to it. They want to obey their father, which tells them what to do, which tells them not to obey, which tells them you're free and you shall not die. Free, free, free. It's all a massive delusion and trick. In reality, the Father's truth in this world, those that don't know him are utterly deceived about everything with zero understanding from above. That's a delusion that they didn't choose, but they're already in thinking they're free. That is the trap by the great Almighty. That is the trap. That they think and believe they are, and it's not. And the delusion is why they think they are, given to someone. All the devil's children have that in common. Well, and any other sin, but this one's just much easier to see when truth is given about his sovereignty, that that's what they're running from. They all have that in common. The Father and all his ways and things are not on their mind at all, like Scripture says over and over. At all, zero. Father, they don't know him yet. He's not on their mind. Any of his truth, actual truth, and understandings from him. Zero on the mind of those that don't know him, because it takes to know the Father and receive truth from him, the Spirit. A lot of carnal Jews out there, a lot of Gentiles, the whole world. Astonishing. He blesses only his way, which is speaking to his people, telling them how to keep his way, which we have the written word, but then what it means and how to keep it and what to do. The other way is a delusion, not following him. In a way they are not hearing, not following him and doing his way, nothing, but in a way they are, because there's no reality to not obeying him. Over and over the scriptures speak of obeying his voice, saints hearing his voice, to listen to what he says and does. Not looking at the commandments carnally and then going, I'm going to figure this out and keep it. Right, that's the delusion, the carnal Israel. 1,500 years of showing that, roughly. That they couldn't do it, that they were constantly judged and destroyed. For our admonition to see that nobody can do it their own way. They can't actually do it of themselves. It's not just words. That's all the church world ever does is just speak words. Just words, no reality to anything, because they're in a delusion. The delusion is no reality. That's why there's no reality to what they say. It's just words and doctrine and debates like 5-year-olds. Doesn't mean anything. There's no reality to what they say. Every word, his way, has melody and the real way to live. And that's what we're talking about. But someone in religion not knowing him, and they hear words from one of his people, they'll already believe with their heart and assume that they're doing what everyone else is. They're just speaking words and prideful and self-righteous like everyone else, thinking they're better, and then they'll judge and say that's what you are, because they know that's what they are, but they're hiding. Why do they do that? The truth to the Father and his truth when they hear it. Why do they say you do this for this reason only, and this or that? And that's all they do all day long. on you. They already are their whole life. But somehow it's okay to be with the false prophets and all the divisions and delusions. It's okay for them to do that. But when they hear truth, then they finally point the finger and say, you do this for all these reasons. No reality, the same reasons everyone else is doing. All of a sudden now it's evil. How come it's not evil for them any second degree? And it's not evil for the church, what mankind does all day long. It's exactly that themselves, because they got blinded. It takes a severe blinding to be that stupid and make that kind of judgment. Exposing itself is the only thing it did. It's very blinding and stupid. So he doesn't allow it. He doesn't allow his truth to be attacked. No one ever did it without being in a delusion and blind themselves as a hypocrite. Not even one person attacked and judged evilly, wrongly, his truth. It never happened. Because when they did that, the Father, they're blind, gave them a blinding delusion while they were doing it. And they're a hypocrite, which cancels themselves out. Speak of themselves. What are they doing? It's over. Hypocrite is connected to all other things, man. That's what we want to get out of. When it speaks of itself perfectly, what? It has no say. There's no reality to it. Even if what it says is right, for just let's say it is, it doesn't matter. It's a hypocrite then. It speaks of itself. It's stupid. There's no reality. That's the only way they can judge life, is be a hypocrite and in a delusion. Anyone seeing how severe this is? How powerful his judgments are? That it can't be done any other way. It can look like they're breaking his way, but there's no reality to it, because when they do that, it's utterly blind in darkness and a hypocrite. Just automatically, because of these judgments. It doesn't allow it. It's tricked. It's blind. It's delusional. And a hypocrite. Continually. And it can't see. It thinks it sees. It starts doing its own way instantly. Oh, I'm smart. It can't be that I'm being exposed. And as it does that, it's punished even more. Blinded even more. For light to look at it and go, wow, this thing got stupider in 5 seconds. So that's what, fearing the Creator is, fearing his judgment, proper way, agreeing and starting to see and believe them. Yes, the free world, the rebellion. It's what this world always is. That is the grand sin. It's astonishing, isn't it? That thing is always trying to tempt and say, no, no, no. It filters out those that don't know him and are just doing rebellion constantly. They're separated into the night. Yeah, it's a wrestling. When we read wrestling with the angel there, seeing Elohim face to face through the messenger showing us this thing. That's what that wrestling is. It has meaning. There's no reality to what religion says at any point. We just talk about the words and protecting traditions and doctrines that connect to their free will delusion, rebellion delusion. Wrestling there doesn't mean anything. And whatever else they say doesn't mean anything. Hell doesn't mean anything. Although they support and teach it and, will defend it because it's theirs, makes them look bad, which is sin to the devil, looking bad. So the devil's always nice. The devil's, that is the goal, to be looking nice and looking good. Looking bad is sin to the devil. Actually being evil in the heart is good to the enemy. That's who he is, evil. So everyone that's under him still, fully. Their heart's evil, but they're masquerading to look good. They can't do anything else. That's the only thing someone sold under sin continually can do, is try to look good because of the torment, because of the judgments of the Father, because there's no reality to being free, like they say. Doing whatever you want, dropping the pen, proving gravity exists. It's monstrous. It's see. They can't do anything else. What the heart is, they only do what the Father says the heart is and can do with the carnal man. That's what they do. They accomplish his will and purpose anyways through the darkness and evil, accomplishing his purpose and will anyways. All of a sudden, some Judases out there that teach for doctrine, no free will, and that's why the church is bad churches. All of a sudden, most of them don't hate the truth and have no clue what free will is and what the truth is. They themselves living in a rebellion, just using the words, no reality, no understanding of anything connected to reality, what the words mean and what the works are for reality. They don't believe either, so many. Someone would say, no, it can't be that someone's doing that. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what deception is. Saying right words is even more deceiving. If someone says more right words than someone else, it's even more deceiving. It's in more sin. It's proof it's in doing more sin in the heart. It's punished more. Yes, the dumber and blinder someone is in this world, the heavier the judgment. And there is no heavier judgment unless the sin is heavier. Judas is in worse shape than the people in the church world and church leaders because it's done something that they didn't. Look called out, say more right words for doctrine, not understanding any of it, not agreeing with what the words mean. Just talking about free will, words, just talking about it carnally only. You'll find people talking about the heart and what the reality is to whatever it's what we're learning. There is no reality in Mickey Mouse land. It's a joke. The devil knows it. It's Mickey Mouse. It's a cartoon. It's a joke for children. God of this world is Mickey Mouse. MM 33. In rebellion with its own way, which is not its own. It's a delusion sent by the Creator and chosen by the Creator. They chose their abomination, so I will choose their delusions. There's no reality to choosing God. There's no reality to this doctrine or that in the church world. That's where the synagogues of Satan and Satan dwells, like we were claiming. The only way that's blessed is listening to his voice. If they would actually do it, they would have what they think they should have. But they say, no, that's evil. No. And then in a delusion and rebellion, mankind goes and says, I'm doing this because I don't want all that. I want to be free. And then so they're in prison. The only reality to being free, his definition and truth, free from sin, slavery to sin, coming out of the prison, right? Yes, to be in the prison is to be trapped and a slave. Because they say the Father's way is like that, that reality hits them anyways, and they're blind and don't have the Father and all the good things, and life, and belief, and faith, and hope. The only way to be free is to obey his voice, which is the very thing that they want to be free from, because that's slavery, that's control, that's rebellion. Can't do that. Free from sin, not free from the Creator. Being free from sin, not rising above the Creator, not the 5-year-old above its parents. What does mankind think it is? God. In its heart, it's God. It starts rebelling and saying words, starts getting angry, because it was in the heart all along. Yes, everyone is a God in their own mind that doesn't know the Father. Their heart does that all day long. It's only to be seen and given by the Father to see what this is. It doesn't matter what they say, lying. We're not God, it doesn't matter. The works prove it. That's what the heart is. It's God. It's free. That's what it always wants. Rebellion. 13, rebellion. 13, rebellion. 13, rebellion. Why that's everywhere. Number of rebellion. Little children children rebelling. They're not God. They're not the creator. They didn't make anything. Zero. And the things that they do make is because of the creator, not them. It's because of him giving knowledge, wisdom to make literal things. He's animating everything. In a trick, in a delusion, one says, I'm wise and smart. I figured something out about electricity. No, I'm God. Yeah, where'd it come from? Who really got tricked? No thanks, no credit, no anything given by those in rebellion to the Father for what they have. That's what rebellion is. Unthankful, ungrateful, continually, every day, in art. The fool in his heart says there is no Elohim. That's everyone, first. The whole world that doesn't believe right now, doesn't have the Creator, doesn't believe he exists because they don't have him. They don't know him. What Moses? He's on the mountain. He's dead to us. For the church world, even that goes away. Those that sprout and die in the church world, he's dead to us. Spiritually beat the servants and get drunk with them now. Party time, rebellion time. Thinking they're wise, they become fools. Thinking they can go through the wide gate and the narrow at the same time, and it's only darkness and delusion. There's no narrow gate while going to the wide also. One or the other, that's it. Like zombies with hands up, like we can see, who likes to mock. Zombies, the living dead, marching into some gate, like robots. Like they're more of a robot than any believer, because what they say way is evil, and that they're God and there's no creator above them to obey his way only. Because of that, they become more of a robot than any of his people. Someone in prison all day long and a sheep walking out in the pasture open, free like that. The one in prison is the one that's a trapped robot in slavery. I'm just using what the world says to, try to paint the stupidity picture. Well, it's very easy to masquerade and look like someone believes in God. A little discernment from the Heavenly Father of whether they actually are wanting to do his will and doing it and receiving from him. Or are they in a delusion, handcrafted, which means they get stuck in there. They don't learn anything. They just repeat the things given that they've heard and just repeat them and enjoy the worship, the little time that they have, that they, enjoy it. This is their reward of being God and people worshiping them. Because the child not having the Father wants to be God. It's in rebellion. And it's insecure, and it needs everyone to see it and worship it constantly. And now it's even worse because there's 7-something billion people. Always was bad, but it's worse at the end. The rat race is even hotter and harder. Get to the top and be worshipped as God. And when they get there, it's utter destruction. And then Hollywood lies and puts crosses everywhere, trying to hide, trying to mix things up. The cross is pagan. Why do they do that? Moses had a rod, a stake, and the serpent on it. Yes, man is a serpent. Look to the serpent that needs to die to who and what it is, because the Father is the devil is Father without the Heavenly Father. So it's a serpent beast, the image of the beast instead of the image of our Father, who's not a beast. That snake is themselves. It never has occurred that someone is a beast in reality. Someone can say the words, something about beast, and still not have a clue, still be in rebellion. Even greater of a false prophet, deceiver, a greater deceiver. Because there is no actual understanding or belief for self and reality to it. So they hide even deeper, even more sin that their heart's in. To go into a deeper deception is to be in more sin. The people out there begging for millions of dollars for jet airplanes, they're in more sin in in their heart than someone else that's in sin. It's, both in dark, one worse than the other. It's become utter fool. It's losing even its image. It's more foolish, where it's not ashamed of asking and begging like that. It's an utter abomination. These people that sell books and have debates and they're millionaires and selling books on hell about snakes bigger than trains, demons ripping off flesh, and then the flesh grows back. The Father is sneering and laughing at them. They're in greater sin than someone not doing the books and stuff like that. That's just a deceived sheep and deceived wolf in sheep's clothing in the church world. These ones that rise greater, the dumber and more stupid they are, the more foolish, the more that they can't even see literal images, that they're actually looking stupid too, but the heart is always evil. But that's how someone is in more sin when it starts losing its image. It's going real crazy. It is utter foolishness. And these people are hard as rocks, snakes ripping off flesh, all this stuff. They will not repent. They won't turn back from what they say. They can't. They contradict themselves every second they breathe with their own stories even. And then contradict and use his word like a devil, a pervert. No clue what they're talking about. They do not seek the Father in heaven. The devil is their father. It's like I got an order. Come out of here, my people. It's the only right way, narrow way. Do the Father's will. He'll show us more and more rebellion and stupidity. Because we were coming out of not to be the same and not see what is good and true. Is to not see all the evil that the Father sees and that his word means, that we need to see what it means and reveal them and do these things. Oh, it's scary. It's scary what he's given to see. It's a monstrous thing. It's a devil, delusion. Everyone thinking they're wise, they can't see anything. They literally can't see. There is no contrast. There is nothing, no truth yet that they see. There's nothing to contrast it with. They don't see what Babylon is, and only learning it more every day what it is. Seeing more as time goes on. Haven't seen what I need to see. No one's been perfected yet. On the way to be perfected, that's the narrow way. This world's stupid. Anyone that says there's wisdom in this world is stupid. They've already been delusional and blind. It's too late. They can't take back those words and just change in one day. That's what their heart says. We're all stupid. It's the opposite of what the sinful heart is. It's the utter sovereignty and power of the Creator, doing whatever he pleases in the heavens, and no one can stop him. Yeah, that is evil to the carnal man. Too bad. Too bad. The carnal man is doing evil, not the Creator. Not giving his people to do evil, but good works that he has for them. Everything that's good and true is wicked. In the heart to someone that doesn't know the Father, not with words ever. All this world is dangerously stupid. Always has been. Satan always deceives the whole world. That's revelation, spiritual words. Anything spiritual is always true, always applying. Prophecy always working. They do the exact opposite in the church world. That's their understanding. It's not about words. They literally cannot see anything yet, those that are not knowing him. It's not about saying right words. Oh, because I said the right words, now I'm smart. I understand. Nothing to do with reality and actual sight and seeing. Unable to truly see. That's what the vicious hatred is the carnal man in utter astonishment. It cannot believe it doesn't see anything, what it needs to see, that it's blind. It cannot believe that. proving a God in its own mind. The opposite of submitting to the Creator and saying, I know nothing, I'm blind, heal me, a sinner. Exact opposite is to be a God in the heart, knowing everything in disbelief that it knows nothing. It violently protects what it thinks it knows to try and prove it knows something. It violently starts doing something blind and stupid, touching you, getting close to you, showing you how to do something to try and prove you don't know, because they're being exposed just by standing there. The light is exposing, but they have no clue that they're blind. You don't have to do anything. The Father's light is just already doing that. If someone gets nervous, they have to start going crazy and doing evil to try and protect themselves that they don't know anything. That's why people tell people what to do constantly. There's a reason for it. Just because the world's doing that is a true right way, but the world doesn't know what that is. It exists, but this is what the world's doing. This is why people tell people what to do, to try and continue to prove they're God. They don't want to see proof that they're not. But especially when light is there, it needs to prove it's God. It's get nervous, it's being exposed. Flashlight turns on and it's exposing darkness. In the silence of the night, the light is exposing it. It doesn't have to say anything. The Spirit is already seeing, perceiving, knowing things. The carnal man doesn't know. That's what it's sensing, that someone knows they don't know. Yes, it is. That has nothing to do with flesh, like the science world, God of this world evolution, It's just flesh. That's not what's going on. Well, that's not what's going on. The only way to see judgments is in spirit. The only way to see the judgments at all is in spirit. But, what we read in Revelation. In spirit, come, show you the judgments. That's not John floating away somewhere, but it's something like that. It's giving us the symbol and picture of what the spiritual understanding is that the Father must give to perceive it. It's perceiving and seeing in spirit and not with the carnal eyes. Carnal man says, eyes I can see. It sees nothing because it's not seeing anything in spirit, which is all things from the Father, all things in the heart, all the things invisible in the heart that it's doing. The Spirit perceiving the thoughts and intentions of the heart, spirit. But John goes away in spirit. So he's giving us a wonderful picture of what the reality of seeing something in spirit, judgments, spiritual things, is for all his people that are being given to see. It's like the perfect picture. Pictures are always perfect. The fire is screaming, torment, and pain, spiritual. Carnal man just sees literal fire. If someone can hear these words and repeat them and say, carnal man sees literal fire. Wicked carnal church world. They don't know that the fire represents this, and then they just say the words. Take the doctrine and steal it for words with no understanding so they can sell books and do their own little delusion. That is everywhere. It's happening everywhere. The only way someone can know is knowing the works, is the Father showing them. Only way they can know whether someone's a devil, because we're blind to start with. We need to start getting the sight. The more he shows us to see, the more discernment we have, the more spiritual gifts we have. See, these gifts are what? From above. They're not carnal gifts. They're spiritual, visible gifts that are real. The church world has no clue what it means, spiritual gifts, prophecy. Doesn't know what prophecy is. A natural man can understand saying something that's going to happen in 30 days and then it happens. That's its understanding of prophecy, and that's it. It doesn't perceive prophecy in spirit, the thing the Father gives his people, which is to see with spiritual eyes. But the carnal eyes, the flesh profits nothing, can't see anything. The carnal man can see natural things. That's not what the Father is speaking about. It's sees nothing spiritual. It's blind. It can see a stone sitting on some rock, whatever. It can say words all day long, and it can say, prophecy. It's not seeing what it really means, perceiving in spirit. That has to be given. To see the intentions and thoughts of the heart, prophesying what someone's going to do spiritually, heart, and then it comes true instantly, Well, not instantly necessarily, but it comes true. Prophecy comes true. Real prophecy. But the devil can trick you and do a little prophecy carnally. A little bit of power given so that it's a truth. It makes it look real. Separate all those that don't trust him or know him. They'll get tricked by it. But only his people won't get tricked. All right, I got to go. So the words are simple. Yeah, just do what the Father says. Yeah, people use that so that they can go back to their free will delusion, so that they can look good real quick. Yeah. Just do what they always were doing. No reality to seeking the Father or hearing what he says and obeying his voice. It's a monstrous trick the carnal man is constantly doing. Quoting scriptures about Jesus when it needs to, repeating the same things over and over. That's what he's shown me. People that get stuck, people that don't know him. They don't learn anything. They just keep repeating the words that they were given to repeat. It looks like, it's very simple. Jesus said, only doing to hide and try to make themselves look like what they think they like, so that they're not spotted as a beast and unbeliever. That's what everyone's doing that doesn't know the Father. Period. That's what we need to come out of the cage. It only does the same things in the cage. Just saying words with no clue what it is. A single word with no clue what it is. Out of their own deceitful hearts, saying, love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. You're good. No clue what it means in the heart. Zero. Those who do that don't know him, don't know what love is, but they'll talk about it so that they look good, so they can go back to their rebellion and not be spotted. That's all it is. It's all what it is. Tonight, light flashes, it goes back to the tree. Adam runs to the trees like a beast. The Father has mentioned in the brain. That his way is the only way. Out in the spirit. So, no man that doesn't know the Father believes they can for at any point. No man that doesn't know the does not believe it's in delusion at any point, or at any point in the heart. What we see in this world is just words and covers. We talk about the heart, not what we say that might sound like what I'm saying. That's what the carnal man tries to prove carnally. In the heart, it doesn't believe in any of that. It's a God in its own heart. It's always right in the heart. Even when it's proven and exposed, it goes away. Getting blinded by the Father on the moment, on the spot, when it's angry, punching things for being exposed. In the heart, it goes away believing, comforting itself, trying its best, wanting that, so they're given it delusion. It will say, I'm right anyways. Walking away, utter fools, utterly exposed, utterly contradicting his word. It walks away. 2 days days later, in the heart. Oh, it's right still. It's God still. Please repent. Anybody who may be passing by. It should frighten someone. Church world repentance is just a masquerade. There's no reality in the heart to it. And they stay away from all the scriptures they need to teach prophets. That's false. They don't know what's in there. They have no clue. That's what the blinding is, so that they don't see what's in there. They're not aware. They think they know. They start talking and they make themselves a fool. We quote some scriptures that are simple, that talk about these things. All of a sudden they're confounded by a donkey. The simple confound the wise. That's what he's going to do to all creation. Can you imagine it? All the people that didn't know the Father, died apart from him in their sins, are going to be confounded utterly. We better get